YouTube is full of exercise videos saying things like 5 pieces of equipment nobody uses, 3 best techniques nobody uses, and usually it's not really true, even if the item or technique in question isn't used very often. But here I've got something that I'm sure nobody else uses. If they do, I've found no evidence of it. And I think it could perhaps be the most efficient, useful and easy to come by piece of equipment for hardening up your hands for combat sports. Let's have a look at it. This is just over half a kilo of Blu Tack, and you're probably laughing already, don't blame you. I wanted to get this to use to make something like a floor ceiling ball. Partly I had in mind making something shaped like a human head, so you can see if you're aiming for the jaw or the side. Then, after buying some Blu Tack, I put together just 12 packs of it. This is 12 packs, £12.54 that cost. After putting it together, I'm really surprised at how hard it is. I didn't expect that. Normally you have a little lump of Blu Tack and you squash it together, make it flat, put a poster up on the wall with it, and it doesn't seem hard at all. But this is hard. I can punch it with the knuckles quite easily. Here, if you get the bone in between the 2 knuckles, that's sore. And I don't think I could punch it at full force. If I did, I'd probably break something. And I found out this is due to something called viscoelasticity, and that means it has the properties of viscose and elasticity. And what this means, and I know I'm not a physicist, I'm not explaining it very well, is if you've got a 1 centimetre diameter ball of Blu Tack and you squeeze it, then your force is acting on that 1 centimetre. If I push in the edge of this, the force I'm pushing into it isn't just acting on that, it's acting on the entire structure to some degree. So the larger it gets, the harder it's going to be. Of course it's going to be denser, it'll have more mass and more volume, but it's also going to seem to have greater density, even though it won't really have greater density. And this could be important. This was 12 packs, as I say, and I've got another 48 to go, so I can experiment with it and try a few different things. But in the meantime, just this, costing £12.54, a little bit less sometimes, a little bit more depending on where you get it, is good. This is a very good exercise. You can feel it, it's hard. Only so long you could do it for before your hands get a bit sore, and this is going to toughen up your hands, toughen up your wrists. Now you can squeeze it. Looking at a small piece of Blu Tack you could take in your hand and squeeze into a flat piece, you might expect to be able to do it with this. I'm squeezing that pretty hard, and that's it. Now I've compacted it. I don't think that's going to go any further, and you can see it's not really changed shape that much at all. Now let's squeeze it the other way. Always like to exercise evenly with both sides of the body. That's good, that's difficult. I think it will do things for you that ordinary grip strength tools wouldn't do. But even more importantly is its use as something for toughening up your hands, which you're doing all the time when you're handling it, just punching it. If you punch a piece of wood, I tend to hit with the knuckles only, and that's partly because it's flat and you're going to come across the knuckles and you're not going to contact this piece of bone. Here, if you get a slightly flat surface, you're going to contact with the knuckles and with this bone, which you want to do very slowly over a long period of time. I understand you get people who think you should hit your shins with pieces of wood, bottles, various things. I am definitely of the school who thinks that that's a bad idea. You'll get microfractures from it, and you're better off just kicking the bag, not catching your leg on the beam consistently over a very long period of time. But you see, that can be difficult because the bag's moving, and if you had a large pad that you can kick, and I intend to have one made out of this, then you don't have to chase it around so much and you can just concentrate on the toughening. And the same when it comes to your knuckles. You can't, or you probably don't have a heavy bag in your living room, but you can sit watching TV doing this as long as you want. That saw, it's not going to damage, but it's sore, and of course you'd get harder over time. I think it's a really good tool. There's not much you can do in your hands. You might take the tie pad or something. It's not going to be hard enough, really. This is going to be hard enough. It's smaller. You really can take it anywhere, and it costs hardly anything. As I say, £12, 54 pence. I also want to try this to punch, so I am going to try to use it in place of double end ball. I'm trying to call it a double end ball or double end bag now, because when I say FC ball, floor ceiling ball, nobody knows what I'm talking about. First of all, got to make a hole in it. And this might be easy, or it might be very difficult. I really don't know. Usually when I film something, a different piece of equipment for training with, I do test it first. Let's see, got to try to make sure it's right in the middle. Okay, interesting. So although it's quite dense on the hands when you're trying to punch it, it's not too difficult to penetrate with your classic 6-inch nail. I have a hammer just over there. That's central enough. I'll take that. Of course, people have things like this. You sometimes buy a tennis ball. I actually got one that came with a double end ball, and I haven't used it yet, but they are fairly common. That's just in case anyone thinks, well, it's too small, it's ridiculous. People do sometimes use them. I do want to make a bigger one. That's why I bought so much Blu Tack. But I was surprised at how hard this is, and therefore wanted to just talk about it just as it is, just for tossing between your hands, for punching, to talk about it as a training tool. Now, old tent peg, we've got the ring on one side. Here's where it gets difficult. I'm pretty sure this is futile even before I try. Where's a strong man when you need one? Sort of people who bend frying pans and things like that. Okay. It's going. Got to be careful though. Okay. I was ready to go and use a vice in the shed. It's not going to go much further, so I'm going to use the hammer. See if I can expose a bit of wall, and no, that's not going to work. Let's jam it in the crevice. That's not working. Okay. The solution, of course, would be to not be so weak, so I could bend this further by hand. Oh, there you go. Okay, let's try that. Won't work that way. I need leverage. Why did I say that? I'm not American. I think that's going to do. Although if you were using it in the long run, you probably want to make a loop out of it. There's a wonderful breeze blowing in today. We haven't had much of that for weeks. Okay, no problem at one end. If you were going to do it very seriously, you'd probably want something softer than metal at the bottom to hold that up. Can't get it out now without breaking the board itself. Of course, that's another benefit with this, so you can do what you want with it, and when it's damaged you can put it back together again. If you get very dirty on it, you have a bit of a problem. but usually you can actually wash this stuff and let it dry. If you get a lot of mess on the surface, you'd want to do that. And if you're kicking it a lot, and what I'd like to do is have a long piece, and I'll work on that. I'll do a lot with this. If you're kicking it a lot, then you're going to take a lot of the hair off your leg. So be wary of that, although I'm sure you know if you train in Muay Thai a lot, you have bald shins anyway from kicking the bag. That's how you know you're not kicking enough. Right, that hurt. That actually hurt, so definitely can't punch it at full force. Of course, it's a bit easier now. Like, I'm harking back to an old video of mine. I do believe you should punch with this as well as with this, and I like to do both. Oh, it's just starting to rain. Haven't had much of that for a long time. I'd normally enjoy it, but there's not really much to show here. If you're going to want to move around fast, work on defence, you probably want to use the double end ball as usual. I'm not suggesting it replaces anything like that, but this will hurt your hands. This will be tough on your hands, like soft ball won't be. This is a lot harder than a heavy bag. I've got a pretty tough bag, and here's a problem with the heavy bag. When you first buy one, it's all pretty spongy. It's just like up here now. That's not going to condition anything, but down here it becomes nice and hard. But you have to go down if you really want it hard, and that's why for your shins you probably want to do a lot of that. It's not a realistic kick, but you can get a lot of development in there quickly. That wasn't even on the camera, was it? That's pretty poor. Oh well, it doesn't matter too much. I like this. I think this is a good tool. I'm going to keep one of these close to hand, and I'll probably spend 5 minutes using it for the knuckles every evening. I would like to get into doing some breaking. Never done it except when I was a child. Bits of wood, bits of slate, things like that. Nothing that's a real test. I don't actually know what kind of wood to get, so if you're somebody who is into martial arts and you have done some breaking, you can let me know, perhaps. I've been on Amazon, and you can buy boards you can put back together again. You can buy boards just for breaking. Don't know if they're any good or not. Of course, the people selling them to you will tell you they're good for breaking. Anyway, that's another subject entirely. Now, you definitely find out you can hit it harder if you're just contacting with these rather than this area, but you don't have that choice. You can't always choose to do that if you're in a fight with somebody and you're not wearing gloves and wraps. So conditioning the other parts of it is a very good idea. If I was to hit this pretty hard like that, then I'd break something, I'm sure of it, but maybe I can build up over time. You could just go along softly, and this is the most effective way. I'm sure you know. You don't want to nearly injure yourself to condition your hands, and I would say this is just about right, and I'm hitting those three knuckles there quite frequently. Good way to do it. I know tripads cost a lot more than £12.50. Tennis ball doesn't, but that's too soft to hit to condition yourself, but this isn't. Moves around fairly nicely. Let's see, let's just take away one of the bungees, and okay, a little bit more movement now. Yep, I think it's good. Here is the hand toughening tool that nobody uses, that's really good for it, that's cheap, and it will toughen your palms, be good for hand-eye coordination, and it will toughen your fists as well, and you should try it. As I said, I'm going to make something for kicking. I'm going to make something larger. It's probably going to take about 4 or 5 times this. I'd like it to simulate human jaw in shape. Been thinking about moulds for that. I've seen you can get moulds for small heads for decorating cakes and things like that. No good for this, so I've got to keep working on that, but I will do that. And I'd love to have something here swinging around where you have to look, position it, and get it right on the side of the jaw as you want to if you're trying to knock somebody out. That's it then. Bit of an impromptu video, this one, because Didn't plan on making it until I just put that first ball together and thought, wow, this is tougher than I thought, it's harder than I thought, and it's really going to be good for toughening up the hands. That's it then. Thanks for watching. More stuff coming soon. Been doing a fair bit of lifting. Always got a list of things I want to make videos about, different subjects, and it's just getting around to it. That's it then. See you next time. My name's Mark. Cheers.